there. Are you ready to take your productivity and business growth to the next level? In this episode of Profit with a Plan, we're bringing in Mark Struczewski, aka Mr. Productivity, in to reveal his top strategies for cutting through the distractions, staying focused, and turning overwhelm into achievement. So if you're looking for practical tips to get more done without burning out, this is the episode for you today. So don't miss this conversation that could change the way you approach your workday. Hey entrepreneurs, are you trying to boost your profits and grow your business? Well, welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast, where we share strategies to help you scale your company, increase profitability, and set up for a successful exit. I'm your host, Marcia Riner, a business growth strategist and the profit booster behind Infinite Profit. I've helped countless entrepreneurs to build highly profitable, sale-ready businesses that grow more profits now and a bigger payout later on. Today's episode, by the way, is sponsored by Infinite Profit, where we don't just talk profit, we deliver it. So if you're ready to take your business to the next level, go visit infiniteprofitconsulting.com and start boosting your bottom line today. Hey, but before we dive in, I've got something special for you. If you ever wanted to avoid profit plateaus, operational headaches, and those pesky growth roadblocks, well, go grab my free Profit Booster Playbook at boostingprofit.com, where I share 3 essential strategies to elevate your profits and do it in a way that you have actionable steps, expert guidance, and the exact strategies that you want to take to grow them. All right, now let's jump into today's episode, where our guest today is Mark Struczewski, known as Mr. Productivity, a Houston-based productivity coach and the host of Mr. Productivity podcast. He's got over 1,300 episodes of experience. Mark draws inspiration from his daily running routine and commitment to continuous learning to offer leaders practical strategies for conquering overwhelm, overcoming distractions, and achieving clarity in both personal and professional realms. Mark, welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast. I'm excited to have you today.
Marcia, I am so glad to be here. I hope that I over-deliver for both you and your audience.
Yes, of course you will. I mean, if you're running every day just thinking about what you're going to say and add value to people on their podcast, then you're going to blow it out of the park today.
Excellent.
So how did you get into productivity? I mean, did you just get up and know that you were gonna be better at doing something?
No, listen, I believe most times, and I'm going to say probably over 90% of the time, we don't know the gift we have for the world. Someone else has to see it in us. So I was fired from my corporate job back in July of 2005, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I decided I was at the fork of the road. Do I go back to corporate or do I go out on my own? I chose the solopreneur route. And over several years, I'm going, okay, what do I want to do? Couldn't figure things out. And the first coach I ever invested in, they saw the productivity angle in me. Because I remember I was on a call, and I normally identify as Tinker from Winnie the Pooh, but I was having an Eeyore moment. And he goes, "What's going on?" I'm like, I don't know what I should talk about, what I should teach, what I should be known for. And he goes, "Why don't you talk about productivity?" And I remember saying to him, I'm like, I don't know where that came from, but why would you say that? He goes, "I know a lot of people. You are one of the most naturally gifted, productive people I know. You should share that gift with the world. And the rest, as they say, is history."
Wow. Isn't it funny how one person can just turn on a light and you're like, I had no idea that's what I was really good at. It just came so naturally to me. And then look, here you are, Mr. Productivity.
Yes, Mr. Productivity.com. I was going to go with Lord and Master, but I decided to go with Mr. Productivity instead.
I love it. I love it. So tell me a little bit about the podcast. You've been doing this for, gosh, just a couple of episodes, right?
Yeah, I'm still new at this thing. I've only been doing it for 7.5 years. So one of these days I'll be, no, seriously, in the spring of 2017, I happened to come across a Gary Vaynerchuk video, and he said, the future is voice and audio, and everybody needs to have a podcast. And I remember thinking to myself, I mean, I listen to podcasts. Could I have my own podcast? And I went to Google and typed those fateful words. How do I start a podcast? I launched it on July 7th, 2017. And now I'm well over 1,300 episodes, which is crazy. I can't believe I've been podcasting as long as I have. But I just love the platform because people will have a get together and watch a movie together, or if they're going to watch like a debate or something like that. But when people are listening to a podcast, for the most part, they're out on a run or they're walking or they're airport. It's just you and me in their ears. And I think the intimacy of podcasting is awesome.
I too have found this natural attraction to it that, we're adding value, we're having a conversation, we're bringing something to them. And because that, like you said, that intimacy is there, they get a chance to really take it in. And
Mhm.
then because it's recorded, they can go back and listen again. And, ooh, wait a minute. And I'd like to learn more about Mark. Where can I find that out? Or, oh, Marcia said something really good. Wonder what else she talks about, right? And so for me, it just really it really launched. And because I don't like to talk, and I'm shy, it just really brought out a new side of me that really I enjoy it a lot. But I'm
Well,
glad
it's
another
interesting.
fellow podcaster was on with me.
Well, what's interesting is I am an introvert and I am shy, except when the spotlight's on me. If the
Really?
spotlight's on me from the stage, on the podcast, I shine. But if I go to some party or some get together, I'm a wallflower. I
Oh my
listen,
gosh.
so the technical term is ambivert, which means when the light and the tension's on you, you come out of your shell. Any other time, you're like, leave me alone. I live in Houston, Texas. Very rarely do I stray from my house. I just me, my wife, and our two dogs. I that's my comfort zone. But if someone says, "Hey, you're going to be the center of attraction," I'm like, "Okay, I'm there."
How crazy, huh? Crazy what a light can do and fame. So, okay, cool. So thank you for, making the connection with us, letting us know where you came from and how you got this. And I think that the skill set that you bring that just naturally comes out. And when we're talking about productivity, I think that's where a lot of people, I get distracted incredibly easy by squirrels, right? And I have a squirrel that I got from some presentation years ago, but I laugh because I am so like something shiny sparkles and I'm stopping what I'm doing and I'm lost down a rabbit hole for at least an hour and going, what did I do? It was just an idea. I wanted to investigate. And so I'm terrible at productivity. I need lists and the whip cracked and alarms and things to just keep me focused. So how does one use that and flip it around in a way that, you're so naturally gifted at?
Well, here's the thing: distractions are a part of life. We had distractions before cell phones, before the internet, back in the 1900s, the 1800s. There's always been distractions. They've just been different types of distractions. And when I tell people, when they come to me and they're all frazzled and overwhelmed and stressed and all these other negative emotions, they go, "What do I do? What do I do?" It's okay. First of all, take a breath.
Breathe.
Second of all, let's focus on one simple thing that you can do to begin to get out from under the overwhelm. You can't do 12 things, can't do 90 things. What is one small thing that you can get a quick win?
Ah,
Because that's going to empower you. So people say, "Oh, do this with your phone and turn off notifications and have the AC at this temperature and block out the too many things." If I gave your listeners every tip I had, well, it would be a long podcast, but it would be overwhelming. They'd go, "Oh my gosh, how am I supposed to do all that?" Just
changing
pick
one
one thing.
overwhelm to another overwhelm, right?
Exactly. So I tell people as we're having this conversation, me and Marcia, pick out one thing I say that resonates with you that you can put into practice today. So it may be now, it may be in the middle, it may be toward the end, but don't try to pick more than one. That's the mistake people make because, like you just said, when you start picking 2, 3, 4, 5 things to do, you are exchanging one overwhelm for another. We don't want to do that. So just pick one thing that's easy for you to do that you can get a quick win, and that's going to change everything for you.
I love that. Little incremental changes that you can make in your practice to move you closer or get that skill set that we've so lost, right? And so, okay, so when we're talking about those one things or those things that do it, is it more important to do something positive or is it more important to stop doing something negative?
We are as different as our fingerprints. And so what may work for somebody to stop, someone else may actually pivot and do something different. So I don't want to give a blanket answer because what I've learned over the years of doing this, if I give you do this 6 times, then people think that they can only do it 6 times. So I try not to give black and white answers unless there is a black and white answer. There was a book many years ago I read by an author, W. Clement Stone. First time I ever heard the saying, little hinges swing big doors.
Yes.
So you want to take that little hinge in your life. Because like I said, my wife and I are empty nesters and we have 2 dogs. So it's going to be different for us than if you're listening and you have 4 kids under the age of 8. So don't make excuses. Figure out how you could take something I share with you today and implement it in your current situation. Don't try to be Marcia. Don't try to be Mark. Figure out how you can make it work for you. That's so important.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So personalization. Okay.
Mhm.
So let's dig in. Let's figure out how we can get rid of this overwhelm and start moving forward to a more productive business and personal life. So give us some of your best ideas.
Oh, you want my best ideas?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you wanted my worst ideas. No, seriously, I have been talking a lot on shows I've been invited on and on my show about micro breaks. Now, micro breaks, keep it real simple. I'm a fan of simplicity. Are 3 to 5 minute breaks where you get away from your technology. Usually it's a Zoom call. You go outside. You do not exchange your laptop technology for your phone technology. You go outside, you don't talk to anybody. And here's even crazier. Don't think about what you did, what you're doing, or what you got to do. Just be fully present. Gift yourself 3 to 5 minutes. This works if you are in the corporate world or if you're a solopreneur and work from home. Doesn't matter. If you want to take it to the next level, go outside, take your shoes and socks off, stand on the bare ground so you're draining the inflammation from your body. Even better if the sun's out. Now you're getting vitamin D, you're grounding, you're not on your technology. And when you come back from that, I promise you, you are going to feel this sense of energy. Now, people go, well, how often do I do that? Here's the key. Whenever you begin, underline, bold, circle that word begin to feel negative emotions, overwhelm, stress, go take a micro break. I have been hearing from my clients say this is the number one thing they do that changes the trajectory of their productivity and their attitude for the rest of the day.
Wow. And thank you, because I have a little dog and I try it midday. I'm in Vegas, so it's hot as you know what. And it's like, I try to walk her at least in spring, fall, and winter, that I can walk her at noontime. But in the dead of summer, the ground is so hot on her feet, I can't take her out except for a quick pee break. And so I've lost that break midday where I can go out and just breathe and relax and kind of turn it off. But I love taking your shoes off and grounding
Mhm.
to be able to really, truly fill up again, release, have that kind of thing. And yeah, so I miss that. And when you said that, I was like, you're so right. Having that, just that little micro break. And
Well,
if she needs exercise and I get exercise, I come back so refreshed.
when you go out, and we have two dogs, one's got is a Bichon Frise. It's got a walnut bladder. The other one is a Boston Lab mix, and it's got the tank that can last all day. So I take him out every 90 minutes. Now, when you go out my back door, there's the yard. If you have pavement around you, well, carry it across the street so they're not getting their paws all hurt. I mean, but getting outside in the fresh air and the sun, I mean, there's a lot of
Right.
research on it. I don't have any data with me, but people who spend a lot of time outside in the sun, grounding, it's just health wise, it just makes you feel good because we spend so much time behind screens, whether it's a laptop or an iPhone. And I just tell people, I was born in 1965 and I didn't have my first cell phone until the 90s. And guess what? I made it. So you don't have to be on social media. It's okay to take a break. One of the things I started doing recently, I'm a daily runner, and I try to run naked 2 to 3 times a week. Now, clarification, that does not mean without clothes. It means without headphones. So I don't listen to
Nice.
podcasts, audiobooks, music. And it's amazing if you always have headphones on. Did you know that birds make sounds
They
and the
do.
wind makes sound when it goes through the trees? It's amazing. So I encourage you when you go for your walks, which you should take walks every day, leave the technology home. Now, I wear an Apple Watch. So when I go for my walk, I just bring my Apple Watch. I don't bring my headphones because your brain has been working all day. And when you're not listening to anything, your brain can go, oh,
Ah,
but we don't give it a chance because we're always listening to something. And our brain, if it could talk to us, would say, "Hey, can we
stop.
go on a walk without listening to something?" Because we want to have that break.
I love it. Fantastic. So micro mini breaks as often as you need it, before or as you start to feel the overwhelm. So very, very important points there. That could be hourly, 90 minutes, halfway through the day, at least every couple hours, take a break and walk away. Well
Hopefully it's
done.
not. Hopefully you're not so stressed and you have to do it every 10 minutes. If that's the case, then we have another conversation to have.
You're not going to get it very much done at all, but okay, awesome. Okay, so I love that idea. Share some more.
Okay, I have the saying: always tell your time where to go instead of wondering where it went. What that means is be proactive. A lot of people will maybe they do a to-do list, and I sort of like to-do lists for like really short tasks. But what I find is a lot of people will put 10 things on their to-do list. 9 things take 5 minutes or less, but they don't do the one major thing. And so they get to the end of the day and they go, well, I did 9 of the 10 things. But then when you realize, oh, that took me 5 minutes. So I am a big proponent of putting the big things on your calendar, not on a to-do list. So if it's going to be something like, I got to take the garbage out, it's garbage collection day, that will go on your to-do list. But if you're going to like create an episode on Marcia's podcast, that's not a to-do. That goes on the calendar. And I just want people to think about this. If it's going to take more than 5 minutes, put it on your calendar. And here's a pro tip. If you've got 9 items I just mentioned, they're going to take you about 5 to 15 minutes, create a block on your calendar called to-do list or something like that. So, because I believe what gets scheduled gets done. Don't hope you're going to get it done. Get it done by putting it on your calendar.
I love it. And I think the thing that you said, but you didn't emphasize it, which is truly important, get it done first. Get the big things done first, right?
Well, I disagree with that. You want
Really?
to? Yes.
Yeah, okay.
If
Tell us.
Okay, so if your prime time is morning, like I get up at 4:30 in the morning, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. So morning for me is where I'm rocking and rolling.
Got
But
it.
if you go to bed at 3 and get up at 11, maybe your prime time's from 1 to 4. So I think you should do the most important things, the things that really have to be done greatly, awesomely, whatever word you want to use, should be done when you are in your prime.
I
Not
love it.
everyone's a morning person like me.
You know what? And I'm a morning person, so I think that you just got to knock those things out. But if you're one of those that get a second wind, in my mind, it's a second or fourth wind, at 6 o'clock at night, then that's when you should do them. I love that idea. I didn't think about that because I'm a fan of saying, okay, I love that you have 9 things or 25 things on your to-do list that are little things that just need to be checked off.
Mhm.
But I tried. What are your thoughts on having only three like serious tasks that need to be done every day? I mean, I know you're not like everybody's different, but how do you feel about three?
Again, I don't like to say three is the magic number. I think you need to look at what is your goal for that year. Like, do you want to make 100,000, 500,000, $1 million a year? Do you want to grow your YouTube channel, your podcast? You need to figure out what you want to do, and then you need to plan your day because maybe you only have one thing on your to-do list. Maybe you have
Mm.
7 things. It depends on where you want to go. Most people, Marcia, get it backwards. They start with the planning, then they think about their goals and they have no vision. No, it's got to start with the vision. Then it's got to come to the goals that feed your vision, and then the goals feed your plan. Most people start with the planning. So when they come to me as Mr. Productivity, they're like, oh, I need to know how to plan. I say, what's your vision? I don't have a vision. What are your goals? I don't have any
Well,
goals. All right, we got to start the vision first. I'm like, but I hired you to talk
do a
about
plan.
planning. Yeah, but how are we going to plan if we don't know what your vision and your goals are? And so I want people to think about when you plan your days, and you should plan your days. The best is at the end of every day. So everything's fresh. You review the day and plan tomorrow. If you have to, do it in the morning, but always, always, always tell your time where to go instead of wondering where it went. And then when you look at your plan, go, oh, okay, well, wow, that's not going to move the needle. Why is it on there? But if you don't put it on there, it stays in our head and we tell ourselves stories. Oh, I had a productive day. No, write it down. So I plan on Google Calendar, but I also have a, a a planner, a paper planner.
Like
Okay.
paper and
A
pencil? Oh my
paper.
God.
Yeah. I use a paper, pen and paper. And here's the deal. I will mirror what goes on my Google Calendar goes on my planner. But if I change something, it's really easy to go on Google Calendar and change it. But I also go back to my planner and I'll put a line through what I had scheduled and I didn't do and write down what I really did. So when you're
Mm.
reviewing, and you should review at the end of the week, you can go, wow, I keep putting a line through this thing. Hmm, does this even need to be done anymore? But what we do is move it from day to day to day, week to week to week, and we don't go, wait a minute.
Yes.
I keep writing this over and over again. Does this even need to be done? No one stops and asks that question. We just keep writing it repeatedly. And then 6 months down the road, we're still writing it. We don't stop and think, huh, why am I writing this every day?
Yep. Wow, what a realization, huh? That review is really important. And I know so many people don't take the time to look back at what you actually did. It's kind of like, those famous diets that say you've got to write down everything you put in your
Uh-huh.
mouth, right? Because how do you know what you actually did if you're just looking at the big items and not the everyday little snacks? Same with our calendar, right? If you're not looking at what you're moving to the next day, geez.
And plus,
And
using a printed planner, it allows you to not be on technology when you're reviewing. So you open the planner, there's no notifications. You can't go to the web because it's a paper planner. So I'm 59 and I've gone from planner to electronic. Now I use a hybrid, but I like the printed planner. There's something powerful for writing down what you're doing. I have a paper journal as well. It's just something so powerful of writing in your own handwriting on paper in a journal or a planner that just is just so powerful.
I love it. It is. And it's that exercise that connects it to the brain as well with your hand moving versus the typing that we can type so much faster. Now, who cares if you can read it because our writing's gotten so bad. But I think that that's a valuable tip to really lock it in and that question of, do I really need to be doing this? And then if you know your vision and your goals and you're making your plan, did it move me closer to the objective that I'm trying to
Mhm.
achieve, right?
Mhm.
Mm.
I recently went through a boot camp with a coach, and I got really crystal clear that there's only three things I should be working on. And they are really simple. It's reaching out to my target niche on LinkedIn, sending connection requests to my target market who are second degree connections, and creating content. That's it. My wife works with me. She does all my editing in my podcasts and she captions all the videos, because once you realize these are the three things, or two or four, whatever your number is, that's what you should be working on to achieve your vision, to achieve your goals. It gets really clear. A lot of people put different things on their to-do list every day, and I'm like, why? I You should have that really nailed down, because I recently decided to stop posting on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X because I wasn't getting any leads from there. I'm like, why am I wasting my time on there? So now I'm all in on LinkedIn and my podcast and my newsletter, and life is a lot less stressful and a lot more easier because I'm really focused on what I should be doing.
Which is what we should all be doing. There is so much busy work that gets done, that is unnecessary because it's not, first of all, as the leader of your company, there's certain things that only you can do. And the other things can be delegated to your spouse, your partner, your VA, your employees, whatever you've got going on. But if we focus on the things that only you can do that are necessary to move your business forward, then you're amazed at what you've done and the growth of your company at the quarter mark, at the month mark, at the halfway mark, at the end of the year, because you were focused.
You can be busy being productive, but just because you're busy doesn't mean you're being productive. Let me say that again for the listener's benefit. You can be busy being productive, but just because you're busy doesn't mean you're being productive. That's a brain tattoo for your listeners.
That is fantastic. And it's a big aha that I know many of us know back here, right? We know right in the important part of our brain, but then that's that thing we draw a line through and put it on to the next day.
Hey, listen, think of the hamster. It's running like the Dickens. It's not going anywhere. It's busy, but is it being productive?
So valuable. Wow, this is really good conversations and ahas. Now, come on, we're not giving you the something brand new that you've never heard before, but maybe if you're listening, you needed to hear it today so you could make those changes and move it forward, right? And start to be more productive because gosh, here we used to go out every day, door knock, make phone calls, network, whatever it is, leave the house. Now, because of, Zoom has made it so much easier and, life has changed as we know it, we tend to be more productive, we think, because we're on Zoom and doing this and doing those busy work that we forget that it's got to move the business forward.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to address the Zoom culture. Two things. Number one, you should be getting up every hour for 2 to 3 minutes. So if you're on a long Zoom call, training, whatever, tell the meeting planner ahead or who's ever hosting it, hey, once an hour, I'm going to turn my camera off. I'm still listening, but I'm going to be walking around, maybe doing jumping jacks, maybe getting on my rebounder or something. You should be moving 2 to 3 minutes every hour you are awake. Number two, you need to say when you're invited to these Zoom meetings, okay, do I really need to be on this call? Because I can't tell you how many people told me they've been invited to Zoom meetings at work or whatever the case is, and they're like, they didn't ask me a question and I didn't participate, and it's a waste of my time. So don't be afraid to say, why am I here? Well, we want to know about XYZ. Okay, can I go first and then I can leave? Most people don't want to speak up like that. And so you waste 60, 90, 120 minutes when you could be doing other things, and you sit on a call that you don't need to be on. So don't be afraid to raise your hand and go, why am I on this call?
That is so important for meeting management. who needs to be there? What rocks are we going to break? That's the EO system, right? Where you can come in and make that more productive and have everybody participate. And what's the goals of the meeting? Meeting waste is so terrible, especially in the big corporate experience, where you're on these meetings all day long and you have to be there because there's something you need to be aware of, but there's so much uselessness and people that are attending that, as an employer and thinking about profitability, if I'm paying my employee to sit on a useless meeting, that's terrible waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow, great point. And I love the idea. Get up and move around because, as you said earlier, in grounding and taking those micro breaks to do it, we should be doing that anyways, right? To get up and shake. I finished a phone call before we started this one. And before I came on this, I stood up and funny enough, did some jumping jacks to kind of get my energy going again because it had been a intense meeting that was great, but it was an intense meeting. So then now I had to refresh. So great points. These are points that, again, can be done in business as well as our personal life, right? If you're wasting time sitting there watching TV all day, you should probably get up every hour and do some jumping jacks.
Well, my wife, for our 21st wedding anniversary, she got me a rebounder, a little small
A little
rebounder.
trampoline.
Yeah, so it's in our living room. There's the big screen TV, there's the couch, and right behind the couch is my rebounder. And my favorite sport is European football. We call it soccer here in the United States. I'll watch my football games, I'll watch movies, I'll watch TV shows, and I could just rebound and it doesn't affect my visual to be able to see the TV. So
Multitask.
there's no excuses. So go get yourself a rebounder. I don't know what my wife paid for it. She got it from Amazon. It works great. At first, the dogs were a little confused about what Daddy was doing, but listen, I got to keep on moving because when I studied the blue zones, I found out people who are 95, 100, 105 years old, and they're active. They're carrying things around, going up steps. And I'm like, they're doing this. They're staying active at 100 and they're active. Maybe, wow, wonder if I do that. So I started doing that. And so I try not to sit for more than 6 hours a day. So I've got a standing desk. I got some other areas in my house. We got a bar, which I can put the computer up on. You got to stay active because I'm afraid if we keep staying behind these Zoom calls, eventually God's going to say, well, they're not using their legs anymore. So we'll just amputate everybody's legs.
Take them off. Take them off. Gosh. Well, you know what? That's really important for the energy that we bring in every day that helps our productivity. So I work out every morning. I get up, go do my exercise so that when I come to work, first of all, I've already burned calories. The body's still moving as I'm sitting on my butt. But it gives me better energy when I'm doing my work and I can focus more, I can get more done, I feel more productive. And so, yeah, hats off to the exercise idea to keep the productivity going. It's great. So
I want to live to 110, so I'm committed to staying active.
Well, I'm going to find a vampire, so I'll be there for a long time. So, but question for you though. So something that brought kind of to my idea here is you talked about the rebounding and watching TV, and I mentioned multitasking. What's your thought on multitasking for productivity?
99.999% of people cannot multitask. They think they're multitasking. They're really not. The brain can only do one thing at a time. That is the truth. So what happens is your brain is rapidly switching. You think you're multitasking. It's really not. So now I'm not talking about walking and chewing gum. I'm talking about you're trying to write an email while you're doing something else that's, you're planning your tomorrow or something like that. Your brain has got to make a choice. So work on one thing. If you got to switch to another task, bring the one you're working on to some sense of closure, then move on. And I promise you, number one, you'll feel a lot less stressed because now you don't have to carry, keep these balls up in the air because it's going to be a lot easier because you've already brought the first task to a close and then you move on to the next task. Try that and tell me if it doesn't make you feel better.
Oh, and I think it gives you that that feeling of accomplishment, right? Check, that's done. So Oh, well said. Well said. I learned a long time ago that when you stop a task and then you start another task and then you go back to the old task, it takes you literally, there's like a time period, 10 minutes or whatever, between each task to get fully ramped up back into that task again. And you're actually losing that time rather than improving the time on it. So smart. I love the idea. Finish one, do your best to finish that one before you start another one. So cool. All right, Mark, this has been fun, and I know we could go on. You've got amazing tips and ideas on productivity, on growing and managing your time, reducing the overwhelm that you have by working smarter and not harder, right? And so where can listeners find out more about you and Mr. Productivity, your podcast, all that kind of stuff?
Just go to my website, mrproductivity.com, MISTER, mrproductivity.com. And everything you want to know is there. Links to my podcast, my email newsletter, coaching, everything is there, mrproductivity.com.
Love it. Love it. And the branding is fantastic. So, if you could put exactly what you do and how you help solve your customers in your branding, then that's the best way to do it. And that's exactly what you've done. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, listeners, thanks for tuning in today. I hope you picked up some valuable insights and actionable ideas that will help you make your business more profitable, and managing your time and productivity and getting more done each day without that overwhelm is truly going to be beneficial to your bottom line. And as I mentioned earlier, if you want to take your business to the next level, make sure you grab my free Profit Booster Playbook, and that's at boostingprofit.com. where I will break down the steps to drive profits, streamline your operation, and prepare your business for future growth and an eventual sale. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave a comment. Tell us what that one thing is that you pulled out of today's episode that you're going to implement right now in your life that will improve your productivity. Mark and I will respond, and we appreciate your feedback. And we always love to hear your thoughts and engagement. So while you're at it, you can find Profit with a Plan on any of your favorite podcast platforms. And we're looking forward to more great profitable information on next week's show. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thanks so much, Mark.